Words have immense power. They can build empires or shatter dreams, lift souls or break spirits, carve paths to success or seal doors shut. What you say about yourself, to yourself, is not just a reflection of your thoughts. It is the foundation upon which your future is built. Every word you speak is either a seed of growth or a chain of limitation. When you declare blessings upon yourself, you are not merely engaging in empty optimism. You are aligning your reality with the power of intentional, constructive speech. Most people underestimate the influence of their own words. They curse themselves daily without even realizing it. I'm not good enough, they say. I always mess things up. Nothing ever works out for me. These are not just harmless expressions of frustration. They are incantations, repeated affirmations of failure, reinforcing patterns of self-doubt and defeat. And when spoken often enough, they solidify into reality. The mind listens, internalizes, and acts upon what it hears repeatedly. The subconscious does not distinguish between a joke and a prophecy. It only follows the script you provide. And so if you constantly diminish yourself with your words, you will soon find yourself living the very limitations you once casually spoke into existence. Now imagine a different script. Instead of speaking defeat, you begin to speak possibility. Instead of reinforcing your limitations, you affirm your strengths. I am capable. I am resilient. I am becoming better every day. At first, it may feel unnatural, even forced, but that is only because your mind has been conditioned to accept the opposite. When you start speaking blessings over yourself, you are not engaging in self-deception. You are rewriting the script of your life. You are choosing to shape your reality rather than be a victim of it. There is a reason why the most successful individuals practice positive affirmations. They understand that their words create an internal narrative, and that narrative dictates their actions, which in turn shape their destiny. When an athlete steps onto the field, they do not say, I hope I don't fail. They say, I am strong, I am prepared, I will conquer this challenge. This is not arrogance, it is mental conditioning. It is the recognition that success begins in the mind before it ever manifests in the external world. But it is not enough to simply speak blessings upon yourself. You must believe them. You must let your words take root within you, growing into convictions that guide your choices and shape your habits. It is easy to say, I am successful. But if deep down you believe you are doomed to fail, your words will lack power. The key is persistence. Speak your blessings daily, even when you don't feel them, especially when you don't feel them. Over time, as the mind begins to accept these new affirmations, they become a part of your identity. One of the greatest tragedies in life is that so many people have accepted a narrative of mediocrity simply because they have heard it spoken over them by parents, by teachers, by society, and worst of all, by themselves. But here's the truth. You are not bound by the words of others. You have the power to redefine yourself at any moment. And that redefinition begins with the words you choose to speak. Imagine waking up every morning and declaring, today I will rise above my challenges. I will not let fear control me. I am stronger than my circumstances. I am moving toward my best self. Imagine speaking these words with conviction, with belief, with an unshakable determination. How do you think your day would unfold? How would your mindset shift? How much more resilient would you be in the face of setbacks? The world will try to tell you who you are. It will try to impose limits to define your worth, to dictate your path, but the most powerful voice in your life is your own. If you do not actively speak blessings upon yourself, the world will gladly fill the silence with doubt, fear, and do not give it that power. Take control of your narrative. Speak life, speak growth, speak success, relentlessly, unapologetically, with the full force of your conviction. It will not be easy. Years of negative self-talk do not vanish overnight. But with persistence, with unwavering commitment, you will begin to see a transformation, not just in your words, but in your actions, your confidence, and ultimately, your destiny. Speak as though your words have weight, because they do. Speak as though your words shape your future, because they will. And above all, speak as though you are worthy of the blessings you declare, because you are. Your mind is not your friend by default. It is a battlefield, a place where doubt and confidence, fear and courage, self-sabotage and self-improvement collide every single day. And the harsh truth is that for most people, negativity has the upper hand. Not because they want it that way, but because it is easier. It is easier to criticize yourself than to build yourself up. It is easier to assume failure than to expect success. It is easier to believe that you are not good enough than to take responsibility for proving otherwise. But make no mistake, your mind is listening. Every time you call yourself stupid, every time you say you're not capable, every time you allow yourself to believe that you are destined for mediocrity, you are reinforcing a reality that does not have to be true. And yet, if you repeat it long enough, it will be. Because the mind does not argue, it does not debate, it accepts what it is told. And then it builds a world around those instructions. If you tell yourself that you always fail, your brain will look for proof. It will highlight every mistake, every setback, every rejection, and it will conveniently ignore the moments where you showed strength, resilience, or intelligence. It will shape a narrative where failure is your identity, not just an event. This is why you must be ruthless in choosing the words you speak to yourself. If your mind is going to listen, and it always will, then you must ensure that what it hears builds you up rather than tears you down. That is not wishful thinking. It is not blind optimism. It is strategy. You cannot afford to be careless with your self-talk. You cannot afford to give your mind weapons to use against you, because it will. And once it starts, it is a difficult thing to stop. Rewiring your mindset is not a matter of simply thinking happy thoughts. It is war. It is a deliberate, relentless battle against the old beliefs that have kept you stuck for years. It requires you to challenge every negative thought that rises up in your mind and replace it with something stronger. When your mind tells you, you always fail, you must counter with, no, I have struggled, but I have also learned and I am getting better. When it whispers, you are not good enough, you must declare, I am growing, I am improving, and I refuse to be defined by self-doubt. And when it screams, you will never succeed, you must roar back, watch me. At first, it will feel unnatural. You will feel like you're lying to yourself. That is because for years, you have been programmed to believe the worst about yourself. And now you are forcing a new reality into existence. That is not deception, that is discipline. That is training your mind to serve you rather than sabotage you. You do not become confident by accident. You do not become resilient by chance. You become those things by repeatedly choosing them, by speaking them into existence, even when everything in you wants to revert to the old patterns of fear and self-doubt. Most people live their entire lives inside a mental prison of their own making. The bars are built from the words they have spoken about themselves, the beliefs they have accepted, the limits they have internalized. And the saddest part, the door's not locked. It never was. They could walk out at any time, but they don't, because they have convinced themselves that the prison is real. That is the power of a negative mindset. It does not just hold you back, it makes you believe that there is no other option. But there is another option. There is another path. And it begins the moment you decide to take control of your internal dialogue. If you want to change your life, you must first change the way you speak to yourself. Because until you do that, no amount of external success will ever feel real. You will sabotage opportunities. You will doubt yourself in moments where confidence is required. You will hesitate when you should take action. And all of it will trace back to the way you think and speak about yourself. So be careful with your words. They are not harmless. They are not insignificant. They are the foundation upon which everything else is built. If you constantly tell yourself that you are weak, do not be surprised when you feel powerless. If you keep saying that you are unlucky, do not be shocked when opportunities slip through your fingers. And if you insist that you will never be successful, do not expect to find success knocking at your door. Instead, start speaking to yourself as if you are becoming the person you want to be. Not in a delusional, unrealistic way, but in a way that acknowledges your potential. I am learning. I am growing. I am stronger than I was yesterday. Say it even when you don't fully believe it. Say it especially when you don't fully believe it. Because over time, your mind will start to listen. And when that happens, everything changes. You do not have to be a prisoner of your own thoughts. You do not have to be at the mercy of self-doubt and fear. You have the power to rewire your mindset, to take control of your internal narrative, to speak life instead of death, strength instead of weakness, possibility instead of limitation. But no one can do it for you. It is a choice.